So, Pippa, I understand that you started out the idea of the Sunday Assembly.
Yeah.
So, what led you to that?
So I started with Sanderson Jones, and the idea for me came from that until I was about 17, I went to church, but I went to a really fun, happy clappy church, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. When I stopped believing in God, it became very difficult to go to church, of course. But and I felt when I left church finally, I felt like it wasn't God I missed, it was church. So I'd always wondered if it was possible to have all the great bits of the church, of my church, all the community stuff, all the friendships, all the sort of self-improvement, but without the God bits. And I thought about it since I was about 18, and then how do you start something like that? It sounds ridiculous in your head. So then I happened to be going to a show, so I'm a comedian, and so I happened to be going to a show, and I was driving, and Sanderson Jones lived down the road from me, and he said, can I have a lift, because he was doing the same show. So we were just talking, and somehow we got onto the subject of church without God. And we both said, I've always wondered if it was possible to do that. And we went, well, if we both have thought of it, maybe other people have thought of it, so maybe we should just try it and see what happens. Which is a fine thing to say, but then a bit like when you say to your friend, shall we go jogging? It's much harder to not go jogging if your friend is also going jogging, because you're going to let them down. So because it was two of us, I think that's why it happened. We actually did it. So we on the I think it was the 6th of January 2013, we had the first ever one, and we thought nobody would come, or maybe 50 people might turn up. We put out 50 chairs, and then over 200 people turned up. And so now it's gone since then. So in a year and a bit, we now have 28 across the globe, and 100 more are going to start, or 100 will be in action probably by September.
For you personally, what are maybe the 3 best things you've had from starting the Sunday Assembly, and from the fact that it exists now, that there's a place to go?
For personal, just meeting such a great array of amazing people who all want to live better, help often, and wonder more. That motto resonates for so many people, so really sort of reassured me that there's so many great people out there trying to do their best and trying to make the world a better place. Meeting so many, going around and meeting so many people. So Sunday Assembly's enabled me to go so many different places. Just turn up, this morning I wake up and I get on a train, and I'm in Leicester, and I meet all these wonderful people. So, we were in Boston, I was in Melbourne doing a show, and I set up the first one there because I happened to be there. So it was just amazing to travel and see that this motto is not only working in the UK, but across the world there are people that want to live better, help often, and wonder more. Just the fact that an idea can explode. So when we said we'd do it, at no point did I think instantly it would become this worldwide phenomenon. So you have an idea, and then you end up a year later being in charge of an international movement. It can be a bit daunting, but it's nice to know that it can work. So it's been amazing.
Fantastic. And you've gotten to set up a lot of them now, and we sort of saw today the idea, let's share food. This came out of my particular religious background. The woman who's organizing came out of her particular religious background. It's really important to me to share food. Here's a thing that I bring to this non-religious gathering. It's important. Are there other elements like that you've added, or that you've seen people bring in, that here's my favorite thing that is missing from my life because I don't have a religious assembly?
Yes, so obviously the first one, it was tea and cake, because that's the classic after church things, tea and cake, people having tea, biscuits. And then it's been so great to be here in Leicester, and then to bring in this essence of the Sikh religion, to share the food, and also the sweets to celebrate the children graduating universities was really great, and also really moving that they said they couldn't do it because they didn't have anywhere to do it. And I thought that's amazing that we've created something that can afford people that. Still a rite of passage, but carry on that rite of passage, but without it being in a religious context, which is really important, I think. Things like charity work. So a lot of people do charity work through churches. I mean, you say what you like about church, but churches do a lot of good stuff. So enabling people to participate in voluntary action. And have it organised for them, because I think one of the big problems that I found whenever I've worked in the charity sector, people kind of want to volunteer, but it's a big faff organising it, getting your paperwork done. If there's a group of people who organise for you once a month to go and do something, then brilliant. So the adding in the voluntary action, and also the small groups. So we have small groups in the London one, and now other ones are starting to, other Sunday assemblies are starting to do it as well, which are meetups once a week, where you share how your week's been going and what your hopes are and how you want to improve yourself, and sort of have a little group of people that you can be accountable to, and so it's like peer-to-peer support. But again, knowing that it's within this framework of Live Better, Help Often, Wonder More, so you know the kind of peers you're going to be with. So I think that's been really exciting as well. And who knows what else? It's really great to come here and see this, and I'm really excited to know what other people will go, oh, I used to do this, could we do that? And see which assemblies pick up on different things as well. And that's what's great about it, is it's a worldwide movement, but each one has its own little flavour.
And this is the first one in Leicester today.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's been going a year or so, a year and a bit in London. Where do you think we'll be in a year? What sorts of things?
In a year we have already got around 70 signed up to start in September. So in a year's time, I imagine we'll get to a point where people it'll just start popping up. So going from, this is probably about 80 people. Some of them are smaller, some of them are only 40 people. London is 400 people, so I think we'll see lots of different shapes of Sunday assemblies. We'll see little groups, but we'll also see probably bigger congregations meeting and trying to do their thing.
So, do you mind saying that last bit again, about
sure.
how many people
sure.
you thought you saw in London?
So we have like Sunday Assembly Leicester is about 80 people. We've got smaller ones about 40. London's about 400 people. So I can only see them growing, becoming more regular. So perhaps you get to a point where they're going weekly, like normal church, or normal religious meetings. People meet up more regularly. So I'd say, in about a year, we're going to have 100 Sunday assemblies and lots of whatever we decide to call ourselves. Probably just people.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Amber. Thank you.
you.
Get us some food.
Yeah.